Hello, Natasha.
Hello, Damien. It's the Lowbrow Lowdown.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, listeners. I'm Damien.
And I'm Natasha.
And welcome to episode 10 of the Lowbrow Lowdown. We're reading pandemic-themed literature.
So you don't have to.
And this week, we take inspiration from Halloween to read a pandemic.
Did I write?
Sorry, no, that wasn't me.
My notes don't say that. Damien cannot read.
No, I cannot grammar. To read pandemic-themed horror.
Yes. Because it's Halloween next week.
It is.
Or this week, I don't know. What is the date? No, it's next week.
It's
Monday.
next week, yeah.
It's called Pandemic.
It's called Pandemic. Horrors Written in Lockdown. It's by Matt Shaw. And I'll take the...
Yeah, you did. Oh, did I say I was going to do... Oh, we're so disorganised.
This is the first time we're doing this in person.
Oh, yeah, we're doing this in person.
We're in the same room.
We're in the same room.
Oh, my God.
Damien is at my house. This is like literally the second visitor I've had in since May this year.
It's amazing. I'm not sitting at my crappy little desk. It's wonderful.
And I'm not in my bedroom with a doona wrapped around me to try and dampen the noise.
Yes, no, we've both got good microphones, and
Yes.
so this will hopefully sound better than normal.
Bit more profesh.
Bit more profesh.
Bit more profesh.
So, the Amazon blurb for Pandemic, Horrors Written in Lockdown. In 2020, much of the world was put into lockdown due to the virus.
Sorry, square quotes.
Yes, scare quotes lockdown.
Not square quotes. Oh, sorry. I'm just swooning because Damien is right here.
Swooning.
Swooning.
Oh, wow.
Wait, we've just got an alert from Menu Log.
Yeah, we're waiting for food.
We're waiting for dinner.
There will be an interval.
Or some chewing noises, we don't know.
No, because I listened to Race Chaser, and they once someone ate while recording.
That is disgusting.
And there
Noise.
was an outcry.
Yeah, no one wants to hear mastication on their podcast.
I mean, no one wants to hear me laughing, but
Well, they are different sounds, correct? But
yes.
no. Sorry.
Where was
continue.
I? So
literally the
due
first
to the
line.
virus COVID-19.
Blah, blah, blah.
As an author, my life didn't really change too much, as I tend to stay home most of the time anyway. Of course, there were changes when I did go outside, such as queuing up to get into stores, social distancing and whatnot. But that was about it for me. I guess I was one of the lucky ones, as people lost friends and loved ones to the virus, as well as jobs. As I write this, we are indeed still locked down. More and more people are ignoring the rules in the UK, though, and deaths are on the up. So God only knows when the world, will return to what we once knew before all of this crap. Still, one benefit, it has given me some ideas for some
What benefit
more
of the
horror
lockdown?
stories.
Pandemic has killed millions.
Here's sort of some horror stories centered
Great.
around the global pandemic, and here in this collection, I present them to you. Stay safe, kiddies.
This is just, I'm just going to just say again how many times I wish people just ran some things past editors, like even like a blurb shouldn't just be an afterthought. This is the
No.
hook.
Yeah, it doesn't make me want to read the
Oh,
book.
hell no.
And
But we read it anyway.
We did. We did read
Because
it
this time we
anyway.
looked up the author and he seemed like a decent human being.
Yeah, we've started vetting after so many instances of like, oh, you're racist. Great. This author was not racist.
The author is not racist, so we don't feel like we're endorsing supremacy of any kind.
And there are lots of things that I like about this.
This book.
Yes, and we will focus on those first.
Sure. Okay.
Because so it's in 3 parts, and part 1 is drabbles.
I really liked learning what that was.
I also didn't know. I knew of like very short stories, but I didn't know this term drabbles. So, and he's very helpful in that he opens it with, for those not in the know, a drabble is a story of 100 words exactly, not including any possible title. I personally enjoy writing drabbles as a warm-up exercise ahead of a long day of typing.
Yeah, it seems like a great exercise for writing.
It does.
I think I might try it because I've got little stories floating around and it's like I don't know what to do with them after they get to a few hundred words. Like maybe I just have little stories.
Yeah, they kind of
words.
And it's kind of like it's a way to kind of record an idea.
Yes. Yeah.
And you might come back to it and turn it into something bigger.
Did you have a favourite drabble?
Oh,
They're all the same.
They're all kind of very similar.
So, I mean, my observation of these drabbles and all the stories in particular, not in particular, in general, all of them were pretty, they were all a realistic scenario or tale of life within the pandemic with a horror twist. So I don't know whether it was horror. Like, to me, it didn't seem very horrifying.
This wasn't a
not gruesome zombies or, I mean, there was
right throughout, I think the techniques of horror weren't necessarily there. Like I've read Stephen King books and literally like gone, I have to stop because it's dark and I'm in my house alone. Like that wasn't happening here.
No.
There was one drabble that I really connected with, and this is going to tell the world quite a lot about me. It's called Baby Comeback.
Right. I'm just going to run to that drabble. Thankfully, they are only 100 words long.
Michael McParland was on his knees in the pissing rain. Tears from both the heavens and his eyes streamed down his cheeks as he loudly wept.
I think I know why you laughed again.
There weren't many people out and about, only a few doing their allowed exercises. Those who were walking were all looking at him. Some felt sorry for him, some could relate, and others thought he was the town weirdo. He screamed again, "Why did you have to leave me?" No one answered. McDonald's had been shut for a while now, with no staff in the building. He banged on the doors again. "Come back." Not that McDonald's closed, but, there were...
all the places, McDonald's were not closed.
But I very much kind of related to that, having a craving and not being able to satisfy it in the pandemic. Which is the pandemic
experience, isn't it? It's like I've craved trees. Like, even though I live really across the road from a park, it's beautiful. Not quite a park, buildings. Anyway, but just wild trees. Craved it.
Yeah, like going for a hike.
Going for a hike. Oh my God. Oh, yes. Whereas last Friday, after work, even though first day of freedom, beautiful weather all day, 5 o'clock, it started raining and got cloudy and cold. I thought, I don't give a shit. I am going for my walk anyway. And so I walked 9 kilometres after work just to clear my head. It's been a week, and it was glorious. Just so good, and made me want to go and do more of it. So I've got a few days off this week, so I'm going to go out to the Dandenongs.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah, really nice.
Did you have a favourite drabble?
Favourite? I mean, look, favourite's a stretch.
It's a strong word.
It's a stretch. I hate that. Look, this doesn't say anything about me. It's called A Perfect World. And I don't know if anyone can hear my little cat in the background.
Yeah, Peanut is here.
Peanut is here, and she is really whiny at me because I'm not paying her nearly enough attention.
Look, she'll just be a feature.
She'll be a feature. Come on. So it's called A Perfect World. Melissa Potter loved the quarantine. She loved being able to go out and walk through the quiet streets. She loved the lack of traffic on the roads. She loved how the non-essential shops were shut and people were ordering online, saving unnecessary queues and pollution. She even loved seeing the families on their daily exercises. Normally they wouldn't bother and would stay at home doing their own things, but in these times they were more conscious to be together. Is it conscious to be together? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they made a more conscious effort. I guess that's the 100-word limit. Yeah. To Melissa, it was all fantastic. And this is the horror twist, which I, again, did not like. It did not resonate with me, which is why she was doing all that she could do to keep the virus spreading.
Well, and I guess this is the horror element of it. Look, it is a challenge in 100 words to kind of not just tell a complete story, but also have that kind of hit of horror. Yeah. And so I get that.
I mean, look, given it was only 100 words and I could have just glanced at the last line and seen it, I wasn't expecting that. So successful. I think I liked it because it was successfully horrible and horribly realistic. And that's these very realistic scenarios of people just living their horrible lives in a pandemic.
And I feel like what this does well, and he does it kind of, I would say in the first two parts, not so much in part three, is that it kind of gives a flavour of the like various experiences of the pandemic.
Yeah, he does.
The drabbles, like, I think were my favourite part of the book because we're going to pause for a moment.
We're going to pause
and
for a
eat.
little bit because our meal is here.
We just talked about the drabbles. Yeah, we're back. Hi, everyone.
Hi, everyone.
We ate.
We just had now when Damien and I used to work together, we would go and eat Guzman and Gomez at Collins Place. Yes.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure if we should say where we were, but whatever.
I mean, we're never going to be back there because...
No, we're going to be in lockdown forever. We're not in lockdown right now.
No, we're not.
We're in anyway. We're in COVID normal now. And we would go and eat Guzman and Gomez, and during lockdown, or during the lockdowns, plural, we didn't have the opportunity to do that, so we just got it.
Yeah, for dinner. It was lovely.
For dinner, it was delicious.
A lovely little, like, reminisce.
It was
what
a
life
nostalgic
was like before.
Yeah.
So we were talking about the drabbles, which we both thought were quite good. On to part two, which is a series of short stories, which admittedly have all kind of blurred together.
I wasn't sure whether they all were separate stories or they did flow together, and they're very similar.
They were kind of
A bit too samey, maybe.
Yeah, a bit too samey. I had one that I thought I'd call out. I mean, so to give you a flavour, the first one's called Greta. And it's about this family and they're about to go for a drive, but it's locked down, and Greta, their neighbour, is really like nosy, and they're like,
she's the neighbour that would call the police on their neighbours, on her neighbours having a party and in the middle of lockdown. We know that sort of thing happens.
Yeah.
It's very relatable.
And I guess this is my challenge with its use as a horror genre. And I understand they're short stories and you kind of have to leave a lot of questions unanswered. But there's this whole building as they're driving. They've got like their plans for like what they're going to... sorry, my stomach just made the loudest noise. It's very happy with its Mexican food. They've got groceries in the car so they can pretend if they get pulled over, we were just out shopping, or if they're too far from home, we were just delivering these to a sick relative. So they're driving. I tried to Google this to find out if it was a word, but he several times uses the word a turning to refer to, I think, turning off the road. They were approaching a turning. I had never heard.
Is it a UK?
Oh, maybe it's a. I googled it and there was
usage?
like no real. I mean, I used to live in the UK. No one ever said a turn. I mean, I lived in Scotland,
That's
so
quite different.
yes. In Scotland, if you are driving on the left-hand side of the road and there's a park on the right-hand side of the road, you go across.
No, that's a very convenient rule. There are times here I just think, oh God, I wish I could just do what people in London do, just drive over to the other side of the road.
It
took me by surprise the first time. I was like, what is going on? Why are the cars faced different ways?
Sorry, but I digress. They get to this large mansion and it's, I don't know, like it's very weird. There's clearly a party there. There's a host and they're getting ready to like have a party, but first they have to go see some old man. And like the kids have to run up, like there's an old man who clearly has COVID and the kids have to run up and kiss him hello and catch COVID.
On his sweaty cheeks. It's like those I'm about to say smallpox parties. No, chickenpox parties.
Yeah.
Where kids would be deliberately infected by their parents, so that they'd get immunity.
And yeah, I say that. And sorry, this is my long path to sort of saying, I get that's the horror element. Oh, they're getting their kids to get COVID because they're all just trying to get it, and isn't that terrifying? But it's not enough.
It's not horrible enough on its. I mean, it's horrible, but it's not horror.
Yeah, and like it would be horror if like they were doing this thinking they were doing the right thing, and then it turned into there was a murder house or something. Like, not that's what makes horror. It's missing something.
It fell flat, this one. Oh my God, I'm berserk.
If you hear like it's just Peanut in the background.
She's just had dinner and she's getting rid of a little bit of energy. But one thing out of this story, Greta, where they are driving on the way to the house, and Angela, the wife, the matriarch of the family, she says the streets are quiet, everything's shut up, and she makes a note about more wildlife being about, definitely more birds flying around. It's like we're in some apocalyptic film.
Yeah.
Do you remember first lockdown?
When like wild pigs started running through towns in Germany, and
oh my God. Well, I was remembering how quiet. So where I used to live during that very first lockdown, I lived quite close to a freeway, and the freeway noise just died right down to almost nothing. I could hear birds. And more, and I saw more birds in my backyard that I'd never seen before. I really did see more wildlife, and it was just in my own little pocket of, and I was absolutely within my 5 kilometre radius.
I'm just thinking about how there was a deer on Brunswick Street and they shot it.
Apparently that happens maybe not to Brunswick Street, but deer do come down the Yarra quite frequently because there is a bit of a plague of deers out in the Gippsland and alpine regions of Victoria. It is, that's not the first one to come into the city, or the city, but
I may have to cut this, I don't know, but I used to work in public consultation and someone once told me a story because there's a deer population control policy and picking the picture of the deer that they put on the front of that website had to be not too sympathetic but not too aggressive. And apparently there was like a wall with pictures of deer that they all stared at to find the most neutral-faced deer.
The neutral-faced
that they chose.
It's like some bizarro lineup.
I just love this idea.
This one, it's just so cute.
But when I lived in Scotland, I was in a gay running club and we'd run along the Clyde and there were often deer. And also we lived right near the Glasgow necropolis, which is the ancient, the old cemetery. It's this huge hill covered in gravestones. And sometimes I'd walk through there on a Sunday and there'd just be deer in there.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
And I was like, oh God. And because they were quite big.
They are. They're massive.
They're not like the ones on that island in Japan, which are tiny.
No.
And just want food from you.
No, they're cute and
they are
lovely,
cute, but they're very insistent.
You're right. No, these deer that you're talking about have got enormous antlers. And
if you get them at the right time of year.
Yeah. I went to visit some friends up near Mount Buller in between lockdowns earlier this year. I can't remember which ones. And we went for a walk at dusk, and amongst the 5 million kangaroos I saw, there were heaps of deer, and all not aggressive, but they were pretty antsy. It was like,
I always think of in is it The Ring? I think it might be The Ring.
I'm not great with horror films, so I haven't watched it.
It is the US adaptation of The Ring.
Okay, right, yep.
Or Ringu. But in the US adaptation, there's a scene where it might be The Ring 2, because the kid is going to die in 7 days.
I'm just shaking my head.
He's cursed. I don't know. The deer start attacking the car, so she's driving along and a deer rams the side of her car. It's terrifying.
I don't know if you can hear that little running in the background.
Look, I think it's going to be a welcome addition.
My cat is cutting laps of the lounge room. Anyway.
But so there was one particularly, to me, interesting piece, which was the morgues were full.
Oh, yes. That was incredible. Like very...
Well, so yes, it was. It really captured. So it's about...
Yes.
It's about Boris Johnson. It doesn't call him Boris. It could be another.
It's extremely
blonde,
implied.
messy-haired Prime Minister
Just
of the UK
during Brexit and the coronavirus.
Although I will say he's going on about how he inherited Brexit. He fucking wanted Brexit, so
he didn't go in. He wasn't PM at the time that it started.
No,
so.
he wasn't. But he really pushed
so
for it.
technically, he could say he inherited it, but masterminded it.
But yeah, sort of talking about this kind of how do you? Well, he sort of is in this point in his life. He achieved the thing he'd always wanted to achieve, but it wasn't what he had hoped.
No, he was not feeling very fulfilled at all.
And what I'd say is I just wish he captured Boris Johnson more. And I listened to the
before
news.
The end.
Before the end. I don't think that's a realistic way that he would behave, though.
That person has self-awareness.
I listen to the news quiz, and sometimes they do this thing called Dead Ringers, where they'll do like a radio play, but it's all the different politicians. And the guy that does the Boris Johnson, like every time he comes into like the scene, he goes wah, 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 wah. Like,
yes,
it's really funny. And there was this thing when he was kind of vying for the prime ministership. It was like good Boris, and he'd be having a reasonable discussion, and then in the background, bad Boris would be going,
that's bizarre.
And he just didn't capture that stuff.
No. I mean, I cannot. Look, this is very much implied that it's Boris, but the self-reflection. I don't look. I'm sure Boris Johnson has an inner voice, but I feel like it's not as self-reflective as this character made it out to be.
Yes, and so spoilers. Like the ending is he gets a phone call and the blood drains from his face.
See, when I was reading, I was like, "Oh, this is a phone call where he's told he has coronavirus."
That's what I was thinking as well. And then he opens the window and throws himself head first out of number 10.
Yeah. And his brain's turned to mashed potato.
Which means he won't come back to life like the bodies in the morgues are.
Because they're all zombies. They're hungering for human flesh. And
this is my issue with it.
Yeah.
Boris Johnson would be like, I need to get me to safety and fuck the rest of them.
That's exactly right. He wouldn't be killing himself. No. Like, why would he have died? Like, well, I mean, maybe he did get coronavirus, but it was really strange. It wasn't a very good...
It wasn't a satisfying... I think this is the challenge, is these stories are kind of setting up, but because they're short stories, they can't deliver on the horror that I think he's aiming for.
Yeah. Because it's too... I think the fact that it's... For all of our coronavirus-inspired literature, literature in quotation marks, a lot of these stories, well, pretty much all of these stories, apart from the very small horror aspect of them, were just too realistic.
Yeah.
And it just felt like a bunch, not case studies, but
yeah, they weren't taking it somewhere
else.
Yeah.
It was just, here are shitty things that people do during a pandemic. It's like, I can just read the news.
Yeah.
And get that. I don't need literally one sentence at the end of a 800-word story.
The horror was always just the final sentence.
Literally the final sentence.
And that works really well for the drabbles.
Yeah, but not so great for the short stories. So he did structure this book, into 3 parts. So the first part were the drabbles, and the second part was how many short stories? About 5 or 6 short stories.
The happy birthday one, was just... It was the happy birthday, happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Where like the wife was like, and the husband just clearly hated each other. And then
Hated
he
each
gave her COVID.
Oh, I know. As a present. Like
He
he
clearly wanted her to die.
prick. I know. But does he not understand the
He's like putting on a mask. It's like, she's going to come back and be like, why are you wearing a mask?
he's putting on, and he's going to get it anyway. Like, because she'll get it and then, I don't know. It's an aerosolized disease.
It was just stupid.
It was
hated
stupid.
that one.
Basically, a husband and wife on their anniversary,
She got up early and didn't suck his dick, and that was really annoying for him.
yeah. But the only reason she did that was because he was such a shit husband by the time.
Yeah,
of it.
well,
he
she'd
never returned the
get him
favor.
up and she would, because alphas don't eat pussy.
Oh my god, that's exactly it.
This is my key message for this podcast: is alphas don't eat pussy.
And she's like, oh, he would never have gotten me a present. But he did. He'd ordered something from a website called Corona in your partner's favourite perfume bottle.
Corona in your partner's favourite perfume bottle.com.co.uk.
Yeah. I don't smell it. But I was reading and I was thinking, did you ever watch that documentary about the people who in Salisbury who got poisoned by that
Yes.
Russian?
I didn't know there was a documentary. No.
It's actually amazing. Oh no, or is it a story? Oh, I'll might come back to this.
But it is amazing.
It's an incredible story, and excuse me, the poison on one of the the poison was delivered via perfume. And that's how the person who found the perfume in the rubbish, like days later, were accident and sprayed it pretty much in her face, and just died almost the next day. It was horrible. And I thought, oh, that's where we got the idea. Because that happened in the UK. It was a perfume bottle. So he's full of ideas. This man, Matt Shaw,
He is. It's
drawn from real life.
Yeah. And look,
Not really a horror story. That's just a
again, not really a
shitty
horror story.
shitty husband and wife story.
Then we get to part 3.
I have to admit something. I did not read the novella.
Well, look,
So we are both going to be hearing, both you and me, reader, listener. I keep calling you readers.
yeah, I can read the book. We're not stopping them.
No, you can read the book. So you and me, listener, we're going to be hearing about this book, this short novella.
Well,
Damien.
before we read the novella, there is a foreword, I guess, to the novella, and
I don't know what I thought about that.
like, are we going to get murdered?
God.
So the foreword, I'm going to read it because
Yeah. We need witnesses.
yes. So the foreword of this book, of this third
Novella.
part, the novella, says, when I was first diagnosed psychopathic personality disorder by the doctors, I was upset. Then I learned to embrace it and put all the negative feelings and emotions spurred by the diagnosis into my writing. Now I fucking love what the doctor told me. I am a psychopath. I am proud. And the lockdown could be exactly what I need to release the beast within. Signed, Matt Shaw, who is the author.
Who is the author? This disturbed me a hell of a lot.
This is the scariest part of the book.
That really is. I was looking at it and thinking, and look, I didn't read the novella, but I read that, and I'm scrolling back and forth. Like, is this part of the book? And he's just put his name in the wrong spot, or is this the character that this novella is about? No, it is Matt Shaw's little.
Which then makes me think that this novella, which is, do you know what? It's the most horror of them all. It's got sort of a Sixth Sense style M. Night Shyamalan kind of twist to it. Is this his fantasy? We're not saying it is.
We are absolutely not saying it is. And we can't know. And
it's just a very strange thing to include this little, I am a psychopath and I am proud. Sign it yourself.
And then write, well, from what Damien was saying.
Then he writes this, honestly, not very good.
No.
God, we're going to die.
All right. Can you cut out the bit about where we eat Guzman and Gomez?
So the novella is, look, there's a lot of like husband and wife, husband hates the wife and wants to kill her kind of themes to this. And I was like, someone's not happy. And that is the theme of this. I'm not going to like, the long story is it's a husband talking about how much he hates his life while he's also talking about how in his 1 hour a day that he gets to go outside, he goes out on his own and he rapes and murders someone. And it was quite graphic. And what I'd say is like, I find it hard to class it as horror because while it's gruesome and gross, it's not...
It's not supernatural. It's not...
Well, horror doesn't have to be supernatural.
No,
like it can be a slasher, but it's not.
But it's
there's
not
nothing
that.
being built. Like
No.
I'm not feeling scared.
For suspense reasons.
Yeah, and you need. I know some people might not think you need suspense in horror, but I think you do. It's my opinion.
Just asking questions.
And it's sort of this thing of there is a twist, as there's been a twist in every single one of the stories, and it just doesn't feel horror. It feels like he's going, I'm going to say the most kind of outrageous thing, rather than going, I'm going to build like. Here's the thing that the best horrors do is they build a sense of security. So they'll often they fake you out a few times. You know, you build nothing, build nothing.
Yep.
And we want the false sense of security so that we can then have the thing that throws us off kilter. You know, whether it's being scared or, you know, whatever your reaction to horror is.
Yep.
And that's what's missing here. So he's kind of from the get-go, this guy is like,
Look, I mean, I've been flicking through it. Look, it's not very long, so I have been flicking through it this afternoon when Damien was sitting up this afternoon, just now, and it just feels a lot like someone's pissed off in a dialogue.
yeah,
Grumpy. It's just an expression of frustration and anxiety, with the odd sentence here and there. The one I picked out was, I have purchased myself a computer console separate to the one owned by the kids. So,
wait, and this is the thing is like there's this unnecessary detail. For what is a very short piece, it could be, it could use words more economically. Because there's one at a later point, also the chapters run into each other, which I think
I have
is...
no idea what's going on.
So as in like, it goes, the end of the chapter is I'm going to have a shower, and the next chapter starts I'm in the shower, and you're like,
They didn't need a chapter.
No.
Yeah.
If you want to make a shift in, like a genuine shift to a new chapter, that needs to kind of, it's like starting a new paragraph. You know, it's a new idea.
It has to be a different aspect of the story.
But when he says, when he's in the shower, he says the hot shower water, and it's like.
Who says shower water, by the way?
But also, we would have just known. Because you said, I'm getting in the shower. The hot water was cascading over my body.
Yeah.
I worked it out. I mean, I'll give away the twist, which is that. So he's talking about all these women that he's murdered and assaulted and raped, and it is not handled in a way that I go, you know, I watch a lot of horror and crime, and it's not handled in a way that kind of made it work for the genre. And then while he's out doing the shopping, he sees one of the women he's murdered and ultimately draws the conclusion. Yeah, it's very Sixth Sense. And he goes back home because he'd photographed them all, but all the photographs are actually porn. And he draws the conclusion that everyone must be coming back from the dead after he murders them because of COVID.
Yes.
And then he turns on a video camera and it ends with him about to murder his wife and her two kids, his stepkids. And again, like the kind of the shift is always ended and it's like, oh yeah, so here's the thing that starts to sort of take it into horror, and it could have gone somewhere.
It could have gone somewhere, but you're right. It just ends. It's like with literally the last sentence or the last point. It's like, oh no, this is what really happened. But it sounds like there was no
closure,
or no build up to that moment. It was just he killed lots of people, but then we find out at the end that he didn't really.
It is a common thing to end a short story on a kind of what-if scenario. But what I would suggest, if you're thinking of writing short stories, the best short story I've ever read is Ursula Le Guin's The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas.
Yes.
And because it does leave questions, but not like this, not big kind of...
What happened to half the plot?
Yeah. You get this whole story, and the story kind of reaches a conclusion, but... it reaches a conclusion on these are the ones that walk away from Omelas, and we don't know where they go. And you can, if you Google The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas, Omelas, there are free versions. It's a short story. It's available all over the internet.
I'm interneting it right now.
It is a really well structured short story that you feel like you've reached a conclusion, even though there are questions. And my problem with this is that you don't feel like the story has reached a conclusion.
No, it hasn't.
It's the inciting incident of a bigger story. He's like setting the story off and going, and that's the end. And the horror is that I like introduced an inciting incident. That's scary.
Yeah, it's not enough.
Yeah.
I need a story. That's not a story.
And it works for a drabble, but it doesn't. Like, look, if you want to do a short story,
I would have preferred he just did another chapter of drabbles. They were really like that as a writing technique. That's something I'm definitely going to be using.
Yeah.
I think it was a really interesting and really well done, but it sounds like, I don't know, the novella. It wasn't a novella.
No, and it wasn't enjoyable.
No, it sounds like a horrible story. I'm glad I didn't read it, to be honest.
Yeah, I
skimmed it, grabbed a few words, and it was like, oh, I just can't.
Yeah, I feel like there's stuff I liked about it, and I think that's really important. And maybe this is a very like isolated project. This guy's written quite a lot.
He's quite prolific,
and I think it might be interesting to read something where he actually
finishes a story.
Writes a whole piece, like writes a whole novel, and
yes.
and you know, there is that kind of full realization of what it is, but at the moment, it's just not quite there. And I say this as someone who loves horror, like.
I love reading. I read a lot, and I read a lot. And maybe this series of reviews that we've been doing for the podcast made me realise that I don't need to finish books that I'm not enjoying, even though we've been reviewing them. So maybe I should change that rule. But in the past, I will have read a book to the end, even if I've hated it, because it's like, oh, you can't leave a book unfinished. It's like, yes, you can. Writers do it all the time.
They do. Also, me and almost all of Dickens.
It's hard going.
I read David Copperfield for uni. Not for uni, for high school. And
I was in
that was
Oliver
the last
Twist,
one I finished.
the musical in high school. I nearly got the, what do you call it, the lead role. So I was kind of an okay singer then. No,
I went to a high school that was majority white and kept putting on plays with not majority white casts. It was not good.
Oh, no.
It was not good.
No, that is awful.
It was really... there are so many musicals they could have picked, and they always seem to pick these ones. And I was like, what are you thinking?
No, not.
Here's the thing. I look at all of the adults that were in that decision-making process and think...
What were you thinking? You had a choice.
Yeah, no, not good.
No, Oliver Twist. That was when I was at school in Sydney, so I don't know.
I never got the lead, so I guess I should be thankful because...
I can't sing. I absolutely can't sing. I used to be able to, and then, I don't know, puberty. My voice dropped.
I did do, LOLO, the TV show.
The really insulting French accents, yes.
Yes. We did that. Not in high school, it's the community theatre production. And so there's a lot of photos of me dressed as a Nazi soldier.
Oh, no.
Like, for the purposes of the play.
No, I know that, obviously. No. It's just my weekend wear. Did you have? Are there photographs? Did you say they photographs?
Absolutely, there are.
No.
But like, I guess people are in movies about the Nazis, and
they have to dress up as
like,
Nazis.
I can understand. Like,
Look, I mean, that's for a play.
but I do think about because the local sewing group used to do the costumes, so they all had to sew.
Oh my god! Can you imagine? Oh no! Oh, that's awful.
I also, sorry, the worst one was I did The Matchmaker, which is the play that the musical Hello Dolly is based off.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the story of Hello Dolly without the music. And I can't remember the name of the character I played, but he had to kiss a woman, and the woman was played by my sociology teacher. We cheated it. There wasn't an actual kiss, but...
Oh my god. Disturbing.
Small town theatre productions are disasters.
That is horrible. Was it? I just can't even imagine. I mean, obviously you would have cheated, but oh my god.
No, but also like the entire town. 16-year-old me and a woman who taught all of my older siblings. So, and I'm the youngest of quite a few.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that was fun.
That was fun.
But yes, so now that I'm sufficiently embarrassed, I think that's the episode.
I think that is the episode. Let me go back to the run sheet.
Well, we should probably give it a rating.
Oh yeah. Oh. Look, for good writing, I don't think it hit the mark. It wasn't horror.
I wanted more horror.
I wanted a horror book. A horror book. I wanted horror stories for Halloween, and I'm just going to have to eat bags of lollies instead for my Halloween experience. I'm going to give it a 2.5.
I think a 3.
Okay. Yeah.
The drabbles really
Actually, you're right.
sold it for
Yeah,
me.
the drabbles were great. They're really interesting little mini stories. I like them.
they
a
were
lot.
absolutely the best part. I think if it had just been that, it would have been quite a nice experience.
Yeah.
If
it was 35 or 36 of those rather than the horrible novella and potentially life-threatening story. No, he's in the UK. He cannot come and get us. We can't tag him either.
No.
Hi, your
Well,
books.
sometimes they
We're
find
scared of
us.
you. No, MJ Edwards has found us.
Yeah, that's
We
true.
love you.
Yes, we do. So good. I think 3.
Okay.
It is. I will go and I'm going to go read some other stuff that he's done
Yeah, I will too, actually.
because I feel like the talent is all there. Maybe this is just the wrong product.
Look, I think it's the wrong product. It's books written during lockdown, and despite what he says about, lockdown didn't make much of a difference to his life, it was still living within a pandemic. And I don't think that's a small
And I mean,
thing.
if he's married, he might not be anymore because.
Oh,
No, just like it.
my face. Oh my God.
Well, no, I just mean they might have separated because clearly, like.
There's some bitterness.
Well, I mean, there was a really distinct theme all the way through of
Yes.
a husband and wife not happy together. The husband in particular, like.
It seemed a little autobiographical. Yes. So 3 out of 5. Let's read his other works just to get a sense of what. I did read, not of this book, but of other books. He got quite good Goodreads reviews and Amazon reviews. So I dare say his writing is.
Well,
just
that's the
great.
thing. And
It's the thing. It's the
it's the pandemic literature theme. Sometimes it just isn't as polished as their
No.
other work, and
No.
that
Because it has to. I mean, they're written fast. They're written under. I don't want to say duress, but within the environment.
yeah,
And to remain current, they have to be produced relatively quickly.
yeah,
And
that's
they don't
true.
have that same checks and balances another series of books would.
Yeah.
So I think 3 out of 5 is pretty generous. But tell us what you think.
Yes. You can email us at lowbrowlowdown@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at lowbrowlowdown. And share your thoughts. Tell us what you think. If you want to read the book, and if you send us an email, we'd be happy to share your thoughts with the world.
Yes.
We're keen to hear what people think of these books. And of course, our plan is to sort of do pandemic prose to the end of the year.
To the end of the year, Christmas, or maybe the New Year. I don't know.
Maybe we'll take a holiday.
Oh, that's exciting. Yeah, I don't know where I'm going to be. So yeah, up until Christmas. So we'll do something.
Yeah, and then we're going to have to change themes because we need to move on because I cannot.
I cannot. No. Well, I mean, we can't have COVID normal themed literature.
No. But there are other things going on in the world. So we'd love to know what sort of lowbrow, lowdown, what cultural moment we should be thinking about for our next season. So let us know. Send us an email or tweet at us what you think we should cover and we'll look into it and see what's out there. It doesn't just have to be books. We could be movies, TV shows.
Plays. Not plays. Not musicals, plays.
Well,
no, Damien loves musicals. I do not. So having to watch musicals.
Maybe one musical.
Okay, wait.
To do
Okay,
one.
fine. Jesus.
Fine. Whatever.
I'll watch one musical.
But yeah, there's a new theme out there. We can't do the pandemic.
We haven't found it yet, but we will.
We will.
So,
as has been the theme of the past few weeks, we don't have a book for next week.
We do not.
We've been flying by the seat of our pants, usually deciding a few days before we record.
Oh my God. Sometimes we don't finish the books before our recording.
No, that's true. But also, if you have an idea for a book that you think we should read.
Have you read something? Have you come across something? I still think, I think we need to go back to the 1918-1919 pandemic of influenza and see whether there's any literature out of there that we could perhaps have a look at. I would like to do a bit of a deeper dive. So maybe between now and our last episode.
Yeah, between now and Christmas, we'll see if we can dig some of those up.
Yeah. There's something. There are lots of things, actually, but... yeah, we'll get into that more. I will do that. I'll write an essay and send it to Damien and we can review it.
Sounds good.
Sounds great. All right.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks, Damien.
Thanks, Natasha.
Bye.
Bye.